subtracting decimals. Here we have an example of an addition statement, 4/10 plus 1 and 5/10. Important part I want you to understand here at the very beginning is we need to line up our decimals so that we are adding together or subtracting values that are the same. So we're worried about place value. So I'm going to rewrite this addition statement as 4/10, adding it to 1 and 5/10. So you'll notice here I put in this first column that I have the tenths together stacked upon each other. I have my decimal in line with each other, and then I have my whole numbers in their place value category lined up properly as well. Okay, so important that we are adding together values that are the same. So we're adding tenths with tenths, hundredths if we have those together, and then our whole numbers as well. So in this one we have 1, or if we have hundreds, tens, whatever it is that we're going to be adding together, we have to make sure that we're adding together the same place values together. Okay, so in this we're just going to, quite simple here. Now we're just going to add, ignoring what the decimal is. The decimal, of course, will come down. I'm using the wrong thing there. The decimal, of course, just comes down below in our answer. So I have 4/10 plus 5/10. That's going to be 4 plus 5 is 9. And now I'll move on. I'm done with my decimals here. I will now move on to the whole numbers. I have 1 plus 0, and that is 1. So my answer, 4/10 plus 1 and 5/10 is 1 and 9/10. Fairly simple. Okay, another example would be, we'll add a few more digits here for okay, so on this one I have 456 thousandths plus 876 thousandths. Again, I'm going to add those together. So again, starting for the same rule of addition apply that you already know from your previous instruction and schooling. Okay, so I'm going to start on the right and work my way towards the left. So 6 plus 6 is 12. I will now add my hundredths. So I have 7 plus 5 plus 1 is 13. 8 plus 4 is 12 plus 1 is 13. The decimal goes below, and 0 plus 0 plus 1 is 1. Oh, here's my answer. Okay, so far this is fairly simple. So the important things to remember is, no matter what the question, you're going to want to stack them on top of each other so you can keep your place value correctly in line. So you're going to be adding the same value types to each other. Okay, let's do a subtraction one. So I think you'll notice there are some very common things here. How about we try 4 and 67 hundredths, subtract 2 and 34 hundredths. And I'm going to slide that down so you can see it. Okay, so on this one, same thing applies. I'm going to stack those properly so that my hundredths are together, my tenths are together, and my ones column is all the same. So now I'll proceed to, from the right to the left, subtraction as usual. 7 subtract 4 is 3, 6 subtract 3 is 3, and 4 subtract 2 is 2. 2.33. Okay, now let's look at the first page that I want you to do to practice this. Now, on the first page of the packet that you received is the Shrek one. You can go ahead and read that. I'm not going to read it to you. The important part that I want you to notice about this over here, okay, those are the numbers that we're worrying about. Now, these earnings are in millions, but instead of writing out all those zeros each time, for example, on the first day that Shrek opened, Wednesday, May 19th, it was $11.786 million earned. Okay, so they just go with 11.786. So you can do it in the same way. You don't need to add all the zeros and all of that on the end of this. Okay, so I'm going to do for you the first question, just so you understand what we're talking about estimating. Now, estimating is an important skill for you to develop, and we're going to try and work lots with that as we go through this decimal section. So it's important for you, for example, when you walk into Town Pump and you're going to buy some candy, a Slurpee, important for you to be able to know by how much money you have in your pocket if you can buy certain things without going up and asking the gentleman or young lady working at the till if they can tell you if you have enough money to buy these certain things. Okay, you don't do that as an adult, so we want to train you now, help you to learn how to estimate properly so that you can just do those things in your head. Okay, so when we're estimating, we're going to round to the nearest whole number that is easy for us to add together. Okay, so we have this one here, 11.786 million. So if I'm rounding this to estimate, I am going to round this to easy numbers that I can add or subtract. So you could do this as just round it to 12, or you could round it to 10, whatever is easier for you. So again, we're going to have to be careful here as we're going below or above, knowing that our answer in the end is going to be either higher or lower than our estimate. So in this question here, question 1, it says estimate first, then find the combined earnings on the first 2 days. So that would be on Wednesday and Thursday. So if I'm estimating first, I'm going to say that one is either 12 or 10. Okay, and then my second one is 9.159. So that one I'm going to round to 10. Okay, the closest easy one to add together. Okay, so you look at this and you're going to say, okay, this one's close to 12. So 12 plus 10, 12 plus 10 equals 22. So my estimate is 22 million is what my estimate is. Okay, so now I'm going to find the actual. Now, before I find the actual, I want you to recognize these are fairly small numbers, so it's fairly easy. You could just round this right to this one. You could just say, well, it's close to 12, and this one is 9, so I don't have to go to 10. Make it a little bit easier. I'm going to be a little bit closer to the actual if I just say 12 and 9, which is going to be 21. 12 plus 9 equals 21. Or say that you were going super easy, you didn't want to do a whole lot of work there, and you're going to round 11.7 back down to 10, and then 9 is close to 10, 20. Okay, so there we have easy estimates that are acceptable, either 20 million, 21 million, or 22. So now let's do the actual, and we will see which one of estimating which way there was the closest to the actual. So now I'm going to, with some space on my paper here, I'm going to take 11.786 and I'm going to add that to 9.159. I'm going to add those together just as we looked at earlier. Okay, so 6 plus 9 is going to be 15. Okay, 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 5 is 14. 7 plus 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Decimal goes down. And 11 plus 9 is 20. So our actual number is 20.945 million. So which one was the closest? Well, 20.945 is 55 thousandths away from 21 million. So the closest would have been this estimate here. Now again, these are estimates, so 20, 21, or 22 is a close enough estimate to 20.945 million. Okay, so that is what we're looking for work on this first one. So you're going to do an estimate. I want to see, just like I did on the side here, just like I did right here, I want you to see your estimates and your actual work. Now be careful because some of these are going to ask you to subtract, some are going to ask you to add. So again, when it's combined, that means addition. As a review from stuff from elementary school, find the difference, subtraction, okay, and then you're just going to ask on the bottom why it's important to estimate. So carefully read the instructions. You're using these numbers over here. You don't need to write down millions. If you want to just write it the same way that I did, estimates 22, and then we know because of the instruction up here that we're talking about millions. Okay, so complete this paper by the end of the day and then submit it on Google Classroom.